So I think most, if not all of us, tend to make a lot of our life decisions based upon pressure from others or social pressure. And yet, oftentimes, these aren't the decisions we want to make and they leave us miserable. In fact, so much so, there was a survey done of people on their deathbeds asking them what their top five regrets in life were. And this was one of them, that they made a lot of their decisions based upon what others thought, what others wanted them to do, but yet these were not the decisions that they wanted to make. And so let's talk about that a little bit here. Now, like a lot of people, I have experience with both making decisions based upon social pressure or pressure from others, and also saying, making these decisions saying, screw it, like, I'm going to make this decision. This is my truth. And, I can speak that in both those decisions, in both ways, even if my own personal decisions ended up with some heartache, I was still happier in the end. And I think it comes down to is I wasn't asking the question of what if. And I mean, like, think about how heavy of a question that is, and the regret at the end of your life that you might have, asking what if you always wanted to do something and you didn't because it might have been taboo or somebody in your life was giving you a lot of pressure to not, um, make that decision. Really, if you think about it, now there are decisions we have in life that affect others, but a lot of these things that we cave to, the only lives they're going to affect is our own. We're the ones that have to sleep at night, and at the end of our lives are going to die with this regret for not making that decision or making a different decision in life. And I think that's something we should all ponder, as I have. Now, I can talk about first a decision I made when I was younger. I totally caved to social pressure. At the end of the day, I learned a lot from it. But one thing I can tell you is that I experienced a lot of unhappiness and hardship that was completely unnecessary. And at the end of the day, this decision really only affected my life. In the end, it really didn't affect other people's lives. Their outcome didn't change with most things. It was mine. And then it was my hardship to deal with. And, I should have probably just said, you know what, this isn't the popular decision, but I'm going to make the decision I want to. Now, on the flip side, I learned my lesson with that. I said, you know what, going forward for the most part in life, I'm going to live my life more on my terms. So, like, I'm going to use the example of going to school. I waited till I was about 23 to go to college. I had all kinds of pressure from friends, family, whatever, to start years before I did. And I just didn't feel ready for it. And I actually dug my heels in here. And I'm not saying this to brag, but because I dug my heels in and I waited till I was ready, I took a massive credit load, graduated with a bachelor's in only 3.5 years, and still graduated with like a 3.9 GPA. And I can tell you, had I not dug my heels in during that time, I probably would have dropped out, or at the least I would have had a lower GPA. I wouldn't have gotten the experience out of college that I did had I caved. But because I didn't, not only was I successful, I took that big credit load, I finished quicker, I had a GPA. Even as hectic as my life was during that time, I was so much more happy. I was basically living my truth. I wanted to be in my classes, I wanted to learn the curriculum I was being taught, and I retained it better. I've been able to use that degree in building my career in the 14 years since I graduated. And that was one of the best decisions I personally ever made, was digging my heels in. Now, I've made a lot of other decisions since that I made on my terms as well. And though they weren't popular, I can tell you the repeat thing. I've been happier for him, though I got resistance and maybe some mean comments here and there. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but I could tell you through experience it's worth it to dig your heels in and make a decision based upon what you want to do. Of course, I'm not telling you just become this selfish prick. But if it's one of those decisions that's really only going to affect your life, like start there. Like I'll use a dumb example. Maybe it's just, like you have a tattoo you wanted to get and people around you are like, no, don't do it, let's just say it's something simple on your arm. Like, who cares? Like, you can cover it up. You want it, go do it. Like, it will make you happy. Again, at the end of your life, you might be like, okay, that was a dumb mistake, but at least you're not asking like, what if? And I guess worst comes to worst, you go get that thing lasered off. I mean, it could be something else smaller. Like, as you'll hear me like reiterate through, I think that's one of the recurring themes of all of my videos. It's the small things. Just start with those small decisions. Like, if you don't want to go out on a Friday night and all your friends are like pushing you to go, or your spouse, and you really don't feel like it, stand up and say, you know what, I don't freaking want to do this. Just don't. And, I can attest you're going to be a lot happier, as I mentioned. Now, I'm going to probably bring this to the end for now. I know I'm kind of pretty much speaking off the cuff, not really editing this thing. Just, this was a thought that was on my mind as I was going through my day to day. So I figured I would just make this video really quick. Now, I'm going to post a video in the upper left. This one's going to be about learning how to start living your dreams right now, right? Because this goes along with the living your life on your terms. Anyway, we'll see you on the next one.